it's always fun me cueing in the intro. I often muff it up, so I cut quite a bit. I laugh. Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so just I'll do my thing and you'll laugh and we'll get going.
Sounds good.
I'm not gonna quit my day job, Sherry. Yeah. Welcome to Inside C&A Digital, the podcast. You are in for a treat today. I am joined by one of my closest friends in Westchester, Ana Mantini. We're going to talk a little bit about career, a little about getting to know you. I think if anybody's in the Westchester community, they've seen you around. So I want them to we're going to go inside a little bit, and you're going to talk to us a little bit about your career and how we got started here. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled. I'm honored to be here. I'm a big fan of your company and you and your podcasts, and I watch them regularly, so it's thrilling to be on one of them.
Yeah, it's so interesting because we cross paths at a lot of business events and obviously in what you do for work, which is fantastic. And I really want to get there, but before that, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you and who you are as a human before we get into the fun work stuff that we get to do.
Sure. Well, I've been living in Westchester for about 23 years now. I grew up in Brooklyn. I'm a city girl. I went to college in the city as well. I lived in Boston for about 5 years. And
I love Boston.
And then Boston's great. And that's actually where our oldest son was born, nice. At Mass General Hospital. And then moved back home for my husband's career. And I was home for a couple of years with my son, and then was looking for some opportunities that would allow for me to have a lot of flexibility, because I was sure that I did want a career and I wanted to get back into something, but something that in the publishing that would allow me to have flexibility and be around for my then son, and possibly I have another son, and for my family. That was crucial and very important to me. And at the time, and I think this is some of the conversations you and I have had, and why I admire you so much and everything that you've done with your career, is for a working mom to say that she wanted to maybe have flex hours or hybrid or work Fridays from home was taboo. And it was literally looked at as there must be something not right, or you must not have a strong work ethic. So your work ethic and your integrity was questioned. So the fact that I was able to find that here at Westchester Magazine was thrilling and truly a life changer for me. Because it allowed me to stay close to home, close to the schools, close to the games, and really have the perfect balance of work and family life.
Yeah, I think that's hard to find. I think even the target demographic for this podcast, I'm not exactly sure that they've dealt with a lot of the kind of generational changes, and so one of the things they get to take advantage of, and especially since, COVID, is this idea that we understand that people can get work done from different places, and that basically, depending on what type of work you're in, you might not need to be in an office 5 days a week.
Correct.
But also that as key employees transition in their lives into motherhood or fatherhood or what have you, that maybe flexibility is good for the business and for the employee.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
I think it's very important to consider the life and the lifestyle of the employee. And personally, I have found from my own personal experience and professional women that I know, that the more flexibility and the happier you are at your job, the better you will be, you will do, you'll do more. Oftentimes you go, because you really appreciate the difference now, you appreciate not having it and being given that responsibility and being given that option, that you really want to make sure that you prove that that it wasn't just given in vain.
Right.
So I find that I often have in the past worked more just to show my value.
Sure.
And in turn, I think it's been rewarded and appreciated in turn. So, yeah.
23 years?
I've been with the magazine. I'm going on 22 years with the magazine in almost 22 years. In Westchester, almost 23 years. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, today.
Crazy.
And
it's crazy today. I've always been a lifer. So, young adults now, a lot jump jobs, like they have, 4 or 5 jobs by the time they're 30. I always kind of, for whatever reason, stayed at a job for a very, very long time until something happened in my life. And my job in New York City, my first job out of college, I moved to Boston, so I left, obviously. I still stayed in touch with the CEO of the company. We're still in touch to this day, actually. But I did a few things from home while I sort of figured out what I wanted to do when I got there, and then left Boston Magazine, which is where I worked when I was up there. And then I've been at Westchester Magazine for the rest of my career. So not a lot of jobs in my
on your resume. Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because last week so it used to be that the research supported if you wanted your income to jump, you would have to jump, right?
Yes.
And they actually just put out an article, you can fact check me on it, last week that stated that actually since 2020, people who stay at the same job end up doing better than people who jumped.
That's good to know.
Now, but that's new. So that generation was really hearing the opposite. So the fact that they felt like they really wanted to get ahead. Of course, inflation's a thing. You want to move forward in your life. And all the noise is telling you jump, jump, jump. Actually, research supports now that when they are tracking the income of these people who stayed, what they're finding is that companies are now rewarding loyalty more than they ever did. And they don't love that person that comes in for a year or two and then is like, next.
Well, maybe they've learned that too. They've learned that balance, that it really doesn't help either the employer or the employee. Yeah. So,
But still a rare gem that they could keep you this long.
Yes. Well,
tell me what's special about it. Why would you choose 22 years?
So many things that are special about Westchester Magazine, Today Media, our brand. First and foremost, I would say that the person that hired me, who was the founder of the Westchester Magazine brand, Ralph Martinelli, was a gem himself. He was absolutely amazing and really understood my needs and had no problem just letting me let it rip, like letting me get out there and do my thing and check in with me. And so that was one of the reasons, loyalty to him and loyalty to the opportunity that he gave me. And it's always been a great place to work. My kids, when they were little, would come home from school and tell me that they mentioned that I work for Westchester Magazine, and their friends were like, wow, like I was almost like a little celebrity. Not really, but
I could see it.
My kids are athletes, so I was always either on a baseball field or a football field or at a basketball game, and the parents, people that I knew were, again, it's fun to say I work for this amazing media company that is super hyper local. We're a county magazine and we're a county media company, but we do so much in the county and for the county, and being recognized as someone that's an integral part of that, and the growth that they've had, which has been exponential over the course of almost 25 years now. We'll be celebrating 25 years of publishing Westchester Magazine next year. I've been able to ride that amazing wave, several waves, some of them crashing, some of them going up. But
this is life, yes.
This is life, and change is inevitable, and a lot of change has happened. And I'm also fortunate enough to be working with a lot of the same people that started at the same time that I did. So we have some, a handful of legacy employees at the magazine that we've worked together, gone through the good times, the pitfalls sometimes, and the economic downturns. But we've also had a lot of victories that we've celebrated that have included victories, milestones at our company, launching new products, working to create new events to bring the community together. We've raised our children together, all of those special moments. So they're like my second family, if you will.
Sure.
And I enjoy that. I like that. I've never felt that I'm a number on a spreadsheet. I've always felt that I'm truly like an integral part and a respected part of the brand and of our workforce at the magazine.
I can see, and it's interesting because one of the challenges we actually were talking, like in the before the show, about what are the misconceptions, or kind of here at C&A Digital, there are people who know us from different avenues of the business, and so it's just always interesting because they'll know us for, let's say, our pharma or healthcare, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of the box they want to put you in. And certainly I know the same is true for you, where I was at an event last week with you. Was it the Builders Awards?
Builders Awards, yeah.
Yeah, and one of my clients actually won.
Yes.
Shout out to Montana Wood.
Absolutely.
And Sonia Montano. It's beautiful to cross at these events, but when you hear Westchester Home or Westchester Magazine, you don't think about an award or a builders event. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit more about like the kind of diversity at Westchester Magazine,
right?
And Today Media.
So Today Media. So for those of you that are not aware, Today Media publishes not just in New York, not just in Westchester, but we also publish in Bethesda, Maryland. We publish the Main Line, which is outside of the Philadelphia market. So it's a county akin to Westchester, an affluent suburb of Philadelphia. We publish the state magazine for Delaware, Delaware Today. We publish Hudson Valley Magazine, and of course Westchester. And in Westchester, we have 914 Inc., our business lifestyle magazine, Westchester Home.
I don't know anything about 914 Inc.
Our quarterly, you've only been on the cover, but our quarterly home and garden publication, which caters to affluent homeowners as well as to the trade, interior designers, architects, and builders. And we publish an annual weddings publication. So that's our magazine portfolio, but within each of those magazine titles, we also have robust digital products, websites that have content that is repurposed from the magazines as well as original content. We also do, you were mentioning our events, our Builders Awards, we do almost 20 events a year. In Westchester, for Westchester, and several events for Hudson Valley with the same marketing team, by the way. So our marketing team is, dynamos. I mean, they're constantly going. So builders. So the Builders Awards was something that we have been talking about creating, doing, putting out for the community for many, many, many years, because there is not an organization, there's the BRI, which is our partner in this, but an organization that really celebrates the individual projects and the individuals that are creating this beautiful landscape that we live in. And we wanted to highlight and put a spotlight on the projects, on the buildings, and of course the people, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the most important part is the people behind those initiatives and those projects. And so that's our Builders Awards that you attended last week.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. If you look around Westchester, of course, we're completely biased to White Plains, but building all around this city, which is beautiful, but I know Yonkers and Peekskill and New Road, there's a lot of action in the county, so it makes perfect sense.
Tarrytown, you mentioned New Rochelle. We actually recognized Mayor Spano of Yonkers for all of the initiatives in Yonkers, so he was one of our honorees this year. We recognized Stephen Tilley, who is a past president of the American Society of Interior Designers, and if you Google him, his resume is unbelievable and amazing, and he works a lot of the restoration and renovation of buildings that are 100 years old and more, to make sure that he conserves the look and the feel of the building. So he's a very interesting person. And then land use attorneys, it's all of the people that touch these projects that we're seeing. It's not just the builder and the contractor or the architect. It's every single area of business is touching these projects. Finance, banks giving massive loans for these developments, and of course the developers themselves. So
I have a love for the industry. I know that was my dad's kind of love, was building and real estate. And so that was actually the family business that obviously I didn't go into, but I definitely had a love for it. And kind of even just being in the space with the builders and the people at the event was wonderful.
Yeah, it was we actually outgrew our space, so stay tuned, which is very exciting. We sort of turned a corner, and we're really looking to grow that event. We think it has tremendous potential, and we've just touched the surface. We've gotten great feedback, so stay tuned for 2026 Builders Awards, because it's going to be even bigger and greater, and more honorees across more categories. So
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Now, so if I had to kind of put my finger on the pulse of what our audience might be thinking that I should ask you, I pretty much know. And the question that I'm sure is on their minds has to do with this digital first world that we're in.
Yes.
Right? And so when I have a love of print, I guess what some would consider old school. I started my career in publishing actual flip the book trades. Yeah. How does like Westchester Today Media, but really Westchester Home, Westchester Magazine, how do you stay relevant as a print publication in this kind of very digital world?
Yes, that's a great question, and a question that a lot of our advertising and marketing partners ask all the time. And the truth is, we value, and I think there is an audience that still values traditional media, traditional print. We have an engaged stable of readers that subscribe to the magazine. Our magazines are subscriber-based and controlled. We're third-party audited, which is very important, and that means that when you're purchasing an ad in any of our magazines, we are guaranteeing our circulation, our rate base, our distribution is solid, and it's going to get into and in front of the readers that you're paying to reach. We don't bulk distribute the magazines throughout the county like
to meet your numbers or anything.
Do.
Yeah, right.
And there's an ongoing circulation initiative to, as people drop off because they've moved, because maybe they have canceled their subscription, because for any, a whole host of reasons, and also for people that are coming into the county too. We want to capture them and introduce them to our brand and engage them with all this amazing content that we have. So there's an ongoing circulation program to make sure that our rate base stays the same, and then we have a third party that comes in and audits us between every 12 months to year and a half to ensure that we're reaching the numbers that we're saying, and that also they're giving us demographic, geographic, and psychographic information. So I can tell you the median age of our reader, I can tell you the household income, the value of the homes that they live in, which in Westchester County, you can kind of guess, regardless of where you live.
Sure.
Regardless if the home is worth that or not, it's worth a lot. And then, of course, psychographically, so what are they interested? Are they interested in home and garden? Are they interested in hiring an architect? Are they interested in remodeling their backyard? So given that data, we're able to go out and pitch the magazine as a viable resource, because we know that message is going to be delivered in content that's beautiful, that's beautifully designed, and also that's well thought of and thoughtful, and that our editorial team goes through a process of really identifying like what they feel our readers are looking for, and want to make sure that we are addressing their needs, their lifestyle needs, and providing the content and the aesthetic beautifully that you would be, as a business owner in Westchester, you would be proud to have your ad alongside this content, and proud to be in the mailboxes of almost 40,000 of our subscribers. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Going back to our content, there was recently a brand new redesign introduced to the magazine. So we the focus as of 2025 is to cover more events that are happening in the county as it relates to, it could be art gallery open, museum exhibitions, theater shows, also home and family. That's major. Most of the people that live in Westchester have families. They've moved here to raise their families because they know it's a great place to live, and education is very good at the public schools. So we focus on that category. We still focus on dining and food, which that is our number one. That's the number one reason people come to our magazine and subscribe to our magazine. That's what our readership study tells us, is people are very interested in our content on food and restaurants.
Makes sense.
So that's still...
Because there are a lot of options, so it's kind of hard to know where to go.
And
sure.
People look to us as a trusted source for content that meets and fits their lifestyle. So we're very fortunate to be publishing in a market that is, for the most part, affluent, and people want to know where to go, what to do, where to do it, especially as a new person to the county. That's how I learned about Westchester Magazine. My husband brought it home and said, "Look at this magazine, isn't it nice?" And I was like, "That is pretty nice." And this is going back over 20 years ago. So I'd like to think that we've gotten even better, more sophisticated with our content and with our design.
So, I think there's a lot of cross-sectionality between what you just mentioned and what we do here. But we look at it more from kind of a media strategy, but creative standpoint, right? So like, what type of content are you putting out from a ad or communications space? What do you think the audience, like, how do you think things have changed over the past few years as it relates to like how your content serves your advertisers, for instance?
So the number one way that we can and we do serve our advertisers is by providing editorial integrity for our magazine, which means that it's not pay to play. Mm-hmm. The content in our magazine is genuine, and it's not based on the category of advertisers necessarily that we're getting in the magazine. So what that means is that the reader realizes, the reader can see, it's pretty transparent. You can tell when something is pay to play, you can tell when something is not, doesn't feel right. So because of the editorial integrity that our magazines have, that creates a platform of trust, right? And that trust then translates to the advertising. So if you see an advertiser in our magazine, it's just a given that they're a reputable company, that they're a good business to do business with, that they're not fly-by-night, that it's not inexpensive to advertise with a magazine. So that means that if they're able to set aside a marketing budget where they can market with us, that means that they understand marketing, they understand the audience that they're reaching. So it all translates, and it all really goes back to the content of the magazine and the editorial integrity that we put forth. So I think that's the number one way that we can help our advertisers, is by providing a platform for them that is laden with trust.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I don't think we actually have this question in here, but it kind of begs the question, like, when you think about Westchester Magazine and then separately Westchester Home, what are two industries or segments that you wish did more advertising with you? Like, they would do good as a segment. Let's say it was plumbers. Let's say plumbers don't advertise. Yeah. What? I mean, because I think we tend to do what our industry does. Mm-hmm. We tend to do what's always been done. And one of the things we like to challenge our clients to consider is kind of what works in other industries. Mm-hmm. That might, even if yours isn't doing this, it might be interesting to see how it plays for a publication or an event. Are there segments that maybe aren't putting marketing spend against ads right now, mm-hmm. for either or both of the magazines, that you really feel like they could benefit from what you offer?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question. There are segments. There are segments for sure, but in general, I would say that a lot of the smaller businesses, right? We're a local magazine. A lot of the smaller businesses find that or feel that they can just do social media and get in front of an audience, and
they don't need
that's
it.
Their marketing campaign.
Yeah.
So social posts, social reels.
That's it.
That's all they need, and it doesn't cost them maybe anything if they're doing it themselves, or it costs them a minimal amount.
Yikes.
And they're really missing an opportunity to reach our readers. We have an amazing readership base across all of our titles, and it's perhaps it's a budget thing because everyone's more budget conscious nowadays, and a smaller business, a boutique or a restaurant may not feel that they can run a marketing campaign, but they can. There are ways to reach the audience, not just in the magazine, but also building in a little bit of digital in westchestermagazine.com, which is reaching that same core audience every day. You know, our magazines are monthly, quarterly. People come. We had in March, we had almost 1.5 million people come to our website.
Like unique views?
Not unique views. Not unique views. Page views. I'm sorry.
Page views. Okay.
So we had over 1 million page views to our website. That's a lot of people. And
Sure.
not uniques. Uniques would probably be around 250.
That's so good.
But that also tells you that they're coming back. They're
Sure.
not just coming once and leaving. They're coming back for more. So to be on our website and run some print throughout the year will put you in front of that audience that you're looking to reach through social. I mean, how many followers can you possibly have that are real on social media? And also, it's not tangible. I mean, we're so inundated with digital, we're so inundated with information constantly, that it's also nice to be part of something that is more of an appointment reading. So when you get your magazine in the mail that month or that quarter, you may not sit down with it right away, but it's there. It's not the newspaper. You're not gonna read yesterday's newspaper, but you will read your monthly copy of Westchester Magazine or your quarterly copy of Westchester Home. You'll get to it. You've paid for it. So you'll sit down and you'll, at your leisure sort of consume the content. Very different than when you're just scrolling for like the next best thing.
Sure.
So it's refocusing the client or the prospect, and that's one of our challenges really, is to just educate them, right? Because they're not necessarily marketers. They are business people trying to run a business. They may or may not have a marketing background, but educating them differently than we would when we talk to an agency. When we talk to an agency, they know the deal. They know what it means. They know all about branding. They know the importance of branding, and it's giving them the it's less consultative, if you will.
Sure.
Selling now has become much more consultative. We're really a marketing partner with our clients, business owners, when we're selling direct, versus agencies that they want to see our media kit, they know what to do with it, right?
Sure.
We can make recommendations, certainly, but they're professionals at that. So definitely the smaller businesses. I would love to see more of designers and architects in Westchester Home, because we do feature their beautiful projects. We rely on them to give us content. But again, we're not writing about you, and we're not featuring your home in every single issue. It may happen once every couple of years when you have a project that makes sense for us to feature. So what happens in between, right?
Yeah.
What happens in between? Sometimes they don't have photography, all these things, but we can help with that as well. We can help recommend some photographers to get your beautiful projects shot for yourself, for your website, and certainly for advertising and marketing in the magazines.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I was so excited to have you here is, I think first and foremost, I tend to surround myself with great humans, and you're one of them.
Thank you.
And I love every time we get to kind of talk shop a little bit. I also love Westchester, and I love small business. And so I think we always push for an omni-channel approach.
That's the
Obviously, digital is and video is kind of it
And
today.
we do as well. I mean, at this point, we're at a point now we're never recommending just one thing. And just
sure.
right.
It makes
can't
sense.
because it's not responsible. It's not the responsible thing to do.
Right.
But we do want to we want to educate people and make them realize the importance of that legacy media and that we have an engaged readership, and that there are advertisers that big brands that market with us, regional brands, national brands, that still feel very strongly about print.
Sure. And from a brand awareness perspective, we know it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the magazines we still have here, and people thumb through them months, years later. So
exactly.
we can see kind of the value of that extended shelf life.
Exactly.
Right? Tell me, before we conclude, what are you most excited about, career-wise, life-wise, or otherwise?
Well, most excited. So I'm at an interesting. I'm almost an empty nester.
Okay.
So I'm sort of looking at, and I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting ready for like the next stage of life and trying to figure out, what I'm going to create. Right, not what it's going to look like, because I want to create it. I want a hand in that and seeing where I'm going. I'm still very much interested in working. I don't, people ask me about retiring. When are you going to retire? And, not that it's imminent, but just, it could happen within the next 10 years, which is like in a blink of an eye. And I just don't know. I mean, I always joke around. I don't like to dust and vacuum. I'm not a golfer.
Okay.
I'm not particularly a huge shopper. So and I love what I do. I love truly, it might sound cliche, but I love the people that I meet through my business, like you. Some of my clients for 20 years have become my friends. We go out to dinner with our spouses. We've watched our children grow up together. So I feel as much involved as in my career, I sort of feel involved in their career. And,
Sure.
And I feel proud that I've been part of their milestones as well. And it's great. I tell my children it's very important to figure out what you love to do, figure out how to make money, because I think that that's really what I've done. I didn't start off in marketing and advertising, and this is, through different twists and turns in life, I found my place, and I have a great, thriving career that I'm very proud of. And again, it also enabled me to be the mom that I wanted to be, and the wife that I wanted to be, and be home when I needed to be home or around in the community. So I don't mind continuing that for a while, but that's sort of what I'm thinking. Like, what's that going to look like?
Sure.
In the next, the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, staying healthy.
Yes, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to say, I'm excited for your next chapter,
Thank
and I'm sure
you.
it's going to be great. Our audience is too. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You. This was
so
nice.
much fun.
This was so fun.
Yes, and more to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us on Inside C&A Digital, the podcast. See you next time.